Hello once again, this is Joe from Tikenside and I am here to talk to you about something I had wanted to, talk to you about for a while now, and it's something that's been bugging me for a fair few months, and I've really wanted to make a video about it for a good long while. So here we go. First off, in the background you're going to be seeing some Guild Wars 2 footage. It's going to be of customizer, both male and female characters, showing off human, char, and starting with the Norn. It's just to show off a whole bunch of different body types, different customization options, and you'll see later in the video why I've done this. It may not be clear now, but you'll see later. The topic I wanted to talk about today was gender in video games. This is something that I've been interested in for a while, and as you can probably tell from the title anyway, lately, especially this year, there's been a lot of talk about a lot of back and forth, and mainly down to Arnita Sarkeesian's videos, which personally, although I don't agree with all of her opinions, I don't necessarily disagree with a lot of her opinions either. I can see her point of view, but I don't agree 100% with a lot of things she says. But one thing that she does kind of mention quickly, and I'm not sure if it's in her gaming series or if it's in something else that I've read from her, she does mention that there's a lot of variety in male body types in games, and I do agree with her. I think this is a twofold argument whenever you say more female characters. And I think one half is down to the character, and another half is down to their build. Whenever they build from now on, I will be referring to one's body type. First off, I'm going to talk briefly about characters and character development and what I consider to be a strong character. To me, a strong character, male or female, is something that resonates with me, whether it's because I like them, hate them, they're a hero, they're a villain, doesn't matter, they need to resonate with the audience, me. So, for a character, I'm going to use an example of a game that came out this year, or maybe last year, depending on when I upload this video. I'm doing this in 2013. Tomb Raider, the remake of Tomb Raider, reboot of Tomb Raider, I should say. I thought Lara Croft in that game was exceptional. I felt for the character, I felt for a lot of the side characters, and I really felt involved with the game. Saying that, she did still hold the typical, and although I will give the artists a lot of credit, they did tone down Lara quite a lot for this new game. She is less of a Barbie doll now, and she looks more like a typical action movie star, which is appropriate for the genre and for the game that she's in. Same way that Nathan Drake is appropriate for the game that he is in. They're supposed to be, spectacle, explosions, action movie stars, all that good stuff. There is still very much a divide when it comes down to male and female body types though, in games, and you'll probably see a bit of a variation as you're watching this video in the customizer Guild Wars 2. That doesn't really exist in a lot of other I was going to say MMOs, but a lot of other customizers, and I always applaud games that go up and beyond with their customizer when it comes down to this. I'm going to use examples from a few games, some MMOs, some RPGs, because I do feel that although having a strong female character is important, it is something that needs to be done at the beginning. When you begin development of a game, you need to decide what your characters are going to be like. If your characters are, going to be one-dimensional, three-dimensional, strong, weak, it's all very much something that needs to be done from the get-go, and if it's not done from the get-go, they can get it wrong, and they end up just being, you leave them open to being very much walking jokes. For this I would actually say a firm example would be Marcus Phoenix, of a character that was originally fairly one-dimensional. I'm going to get jumped on for this. I probably have Spike who's going to go off and rant at me at some point because I've said this, but he's fairly one-dimensional, and as they build him up, they make him slightly less interesting as a character, at least to me. It doesn't resonate with me like a lot of other characters do. That's character development. That's a totally different issue, and I can go off on that all day. Right now, the core focus I want to talk about with both male and female characters is build. As I said, build will be me referring to the aesthetic design of the character. This is where this customizer is going to come in, because as you no doubt have noticed, there's been some larger builds, especially with the Nord. Humans are sort of in the middle, and with the monster race, which is the Char, which shall show up at the end of this video. I've played a lot. I like RPGs, so I like customizing. I like getting down to the nitty gritty. And the thing I noticed, lately, is that the best customizer I've used in a game of recent times is Saints Row the Third, or Saints Row 4. They both use the same customizer. Why? Because I can play as whatever I like. I can play as a fat bloke. I can play as a fat lady. I can be muscular. I can be skinny. It is entirely up to me. It makes sense in the setting of the game. As long as it makes sense there, that's all that matters. I begin to start having problems with this when something doesn't really make sense in the game, or it creates an imbalance between the genders. So, Star Wars The Old Republic, the largest build for men in that game is a very, I would describe it as being very much a dough ball. It's a very generic, fat guy. In a lot of armors, you look pretty round. So I kind of went, well, what does the women look like? So I popped over to the women's customizer in that game, and I found that it was actually, the equivalent was very much a voluptuous figure. Big boned, but not to the extent of the male one. It could be argued that she would make sense in a combat scenario, but the male equivalent wouldn't, and I found that very odd. In the same token, I used to play a lot of DC Universe online. I still do pop on it every now and then, and I found that their customizer has the same problem, though not so much with, you know, being big boned, but the women's customizer has three modes, three core body type modes, which is small, medium, large. They've split that into small, medium, and large within the small, medium, and large, which is confusing, but it boils down to young, possibly teenagery type, you know, that's your Robins, your Batgirls, and whatnot. Your core and your heavy, big, bulky body type. But the thing is, the heavy, big, bulky body type is, as it says on the tin, with men. You look a little bit like Solomon Grundy or the Hulk. You're that big, huge, muscle-bound guy. And then look at the female one. And all it is it's just the standard body type, just scaled up and defined a bit more. And then I played through the game because, you know, like, those who know me, you know, I tend to play male characters in MMOs. I find it a bit more immersive. So I was playing through the game and I noticed that in the game there were more body types than what were presented in the customizer. Now this could have been an example of using different builds in a setting that makes sense. This is a game about superpowers. You can do whatever you want. You can fly, you can zip about, and they could have done what Saints Row had done and used the larger body type, because there is a larger body type in that game that isn't available in Customizer. They could have put that in, but they chose not to. And I'm going to put this down to the same thing everyone else puts it down to, is the interest of the target audience. Target audience for most games is teenage boys. Although that's not necessarily the case anymore, there is a growing female demographic. I do feel that the first step we need to take is to separate the gaming industry from the view that this body type is the one that we should be adhering to. Now, when I say this body type, I mean your archetypal, you know, muscular, supermodel, movie star look. We need to start slowly verging away. We've started to with men. We do it a lot more with men. We're willing to do that more with our male characters than we are our female characters. We have characters in Street Fighter that have all sorts of body shapes, and there's a lot of fighting games that have a variety of body shapes for men, but not a lot for women. And I think we need to start verging towards that with women now. We need to have all sorts of these body shapes, big, little, fat, thin. We need the scale. You know, just pop up that Saints Row scale and shuffle it about and see where it lands, and that's what we need. We need that body type, and then do it again, and we also need more of that one, and then that one, and then that one. Here's where Guild Wars 2 comes in. I'll give them a lot of respect for this customizer simply because of the Char female. The Char are the cat-like race. You probably will see them on the screen around about now. And instead of going down the route that most other MMOs take, like World of Warcraft, like Allods Online, like Terra, and I think WildStar's customizer is a bit like this too, where the female of the race is simply just the male with breasts. And that's not how we should portray our women in game. We shouldn't portray them as men with a little bit slapped on, because that's not the reality of it. That's not what life is, and that's not how we should project it into the game. Instead, they sat down, they designed the female child from the ground up with designs from other females. They split the design in two. They chose much more sleek designs for the females, so they're distinguishable on sight, but they're not alien from the male. So if you compare the two designs, you'll look at the male and they very much look like lions and tigers in their build, whereas the females look a lot more like leopards and cheetahs. They're very sleek, they're very well designed. They still look like they can, they still look just as dangerous and just as deadly as the male. You can clearly tell they're the same race, but they are still aesthetically different, and I think that's what we need to strive for. We need to strive for this variation, and we need to strive away from kind of this lazy character design where you just kind of slap something on and then say, done, we now have two genders on our fictional race. I could actually go on like this all day. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll probably go into each point I've made in this video in more detail over the coming year. I've got a lot of videos I want to do, so I'm just going to end it here. It's running on to about 20 minutes now. Thanks for listening, thanks for sitting with me all this time, and stay safe out there. It's a big wide open world. Have a nice day. That's the most important one. Have a nice day.